The beam of a flashlight hit my face like a slap, cutting through the darkness as I stood waist-deep in the cool waters of my own lake at 2 a.m. "Sir, you're violating HOA regulations on lake usage hours," barked the security guard, his tone dripping with the smugness of a man who thought he owned the night. I froze, naked and treading water, my shock giving way to fury. This was my lakefront, my property, bought with every dime I'd scraped together. Yet here was this glorified mall cop trespassing on my land, preaching rules I'd never agreed to. As I shielded my eyes, trying to salvage some shred of dignity, I realized my dream home had become a battleground. With my background in urban planning, I wasn't about to let a power-drunk homeowners association bully me off my own soil. This wasn't just a dispute. Tight was war, and I was ready to fight dirty. 10 years of saving had gone into this place. A cozy cabin on Willow Lake, nestled among ancient pines with a view that stopped my heart the first time I saw it. As a wetland ecologist, I dreamed of a sanctuary where I could escape the city and breathe. Finding the perfect spot took 2 more years, but when I toured the cedar-shingled cabin with its private dock, I knew it was home. The realtor, a no-nonsense woman named Clara, laid it out clearly. "This lot sits just outside the Willow Lake Pines HOA boundary," she said, tracing a map. "The previous owner fought to keep it independent when the area was developed 20 years ago. You get lake access without their rulebook." Her smirk should have been a red flag, but I was too dazzled by the water's shimmer to care. The price stretched my budget thin, but I signed the papers. 3 months later, I was Nathan Hall, proud owner of a slice of paradise. The first month was bliss. Mornings meant coffee on the dock, watching her glide. Afternoons were for sanding the cabin's weathered porch. Evenings ended with a fire pit by the lake. The stars my only company. Neighbors dropped by, mostly warm folks who'd lived here for decades. An older couple, the Murphys, gifted me a peach cobbler and a warning. "The HOA can be pushy. Hold your ground." I nodded, not thinking much of it. Then I met Vivian Crane. She rolled up one Saturday in a polished silver SUV, stepping out in heels that sank into my gravel drive, and a navy blazer screaming corporate ambition. "Mr. Holt," she called, flipping through a notebook. "I'm president of the Willow Lake Pines HOA. Welcome to our community." I wiped dirt from my hands, knee-deep in a native plant bed. "Thanks, but my property is not in your HOA." Her smile twitched. "Technically, yes, but we consider all lakefront owners part of our family. I've brought a voluntary membership packet." She handed me a glossy folder stamped with a silver crest. "Our fees are modest, and we protect property values with strict standards." I said I'd review it, but stressed my independence. Her gaze flicked to my cabin. "I see you're altering the exterior. Even non-members must comply with the county's lakefront ordinance for visible modifications." I frowned. "I'm just fixing the porch and planting natives to curb erosion." "No one mentioned permits." She waved a hand. "Realtors don't know everything. I'd hate for you to face fines." With that veiled threat, she left me her card and drove off. A chill settled over me, sharper than the fall air. That night, I skimmed the HOA packet. The modest fees were $4,000 a year for services I didn't need. The bylaws were a straitjacket, restrictions on paint colors, guest limits, even tree heights. Worst was a clause claiming visual oversight on any property seen from the lake, meaning they could nitpick my land. 3 days later, a citation appeared on my door. "Unauthorized landscaping, $300 review fee required." I called the county, who confirmed the shoreline ordinance covered environmental impacts, not aesthetics. Me plants were compliant. I shredded the notice. Another arrived the next day, citing my porch repairs, then one for my dock's improper alignment. I left voicemails for Vivian, the second less civil than the first. When a sheriff's deputy knocked, I was floored. Deputy Larson, looking bored, said he was responding to illegal construction. I showed him my deed and the porch just replaced boards. He shifted uncomfortably. Vivian Crane's got friends in high places. Her husband's a big developer. They fund half the county's campaigns. The puzzle pieces clicked. This wasn't just HOA nonsense. It was power. At the county records office, I dug deeper. Vivian wasn't just married to a developer. She shared Crane Waterfront Ventures with plans for a sprawling marina and retail complex on Willow Lake. My lot with its deep water access was the linchpin for their main pier. My cousin Lena, a property law paralegal, called with more. "Your deed's bulletproof," she said. "The original owner, a retired attorney, carved your lot out of the HOA in perpetuity. They can't touch you legally." But the citations kept coming. I installed cameras, catching an HOA security SUV prowling my drive, and a guard snapping photos of my porch. I sent a cease and desist letter to Vivin, the HOA, and their security firm, citing my exemption. That Friday, my cameras caught two men moving my property markers inward. I called the sheriff. Deputy Torres, sharp and serious, filed a trespassing report, but warned, proving Vivin sent them will be tough. My neighbor Ed Walsh, a grizzled fisherman, filled in the blanks. "Vivin's been after every independent lot since she took over the HOA 3 years ago," he said, pruning a hedge. "Her marina needs the whole shoreline. Your dock's the deepest spot, they want it bad." He offered old HOA surveys and agreements from his board days. Meanwhile, Vivin's tactics escalated. Security parked at my drive's entrance, logging my every move. When friends came for a cookout, a guard demanded their IDs, claiming visitor registration. Two left, rattled. The private road to my cabin went unmaintained after rains, turning to mud. Delivery trucks stopped coming. Garbage pickup skipped me. A contractor I hired for repairs got a call from the county threatening his license. Then my cameras caught a figure in Vivin's signature blazer tampering with my markers. At 3 a.m., I was done playing nice. At a local diner, I met Rachel Vance, an environmental reporter probing shoreline violations. When I mentioned Crane Ventures, she leaned in. "They've trashed ecosystems in 2 counties, blaming natural disasters. I'm on it." Her first article, "Willow Lake's Development Dilemma," questioned the marina's impact without naming Vivin. The next day, Vivin and County Commissioner Roy Baxter held a flashy press conference, unveiling eco-friendly marina renderings. No mention of permits or environmental studies. Rachel called, rattled. Vivian's lawyer threatened my editor with a lawsuit. I promised her my evidence. Then my boss warned me. Vivian's husband had leaned on clients questioning my outside activities. A state senator's aide, Tim Reed, reached out. "We're hearing about permit issues at Willow Lake. Can you help?" I sent water samples and photos, proving Vivian's unpermitted dredging. State inspectors issued a cease and desist, my first win. To deter Vivian's goons, I installed motion-triggered sprinklers along my property line. The first guard to get soaked raged but couldn't prove intent. I added predator call speakers and blinding floodlights. All legal. Vivin hit back with a lawsuit claiming my nuisance defenses disrupted community safety. I countersued, submitting footage of trespassing, marker tampering, and service disruptions, naming Vivin personally. Rachel's next article exposed Vivin's intimidation of non-HOA owners, sparking TV coverage. I hosted a lake ecology day with experts warning about the marina's wetland destruction. Families turned skeptical of Vivin's eco-claims. Then came a fake county letter threatening eminent domain. I confirmed it was forged Vivin's fatal slip. I reported the mail fraud to the postal inspector and sheriff, pairing it with a dossier of Vivin's harassment. Ed's records showed HOA funds funneled to Vivin's firm via her sister's consulting company. At an emergency HOA meeting, I presented the evidence for $100,000 in consulting fees, reduced services, and property flips to Crane Ventures. Vivin called me a liar, but Ed stood. "I've got 30 years here. You've bled this lake dry for your empire." Residents demanded audits. Vivin fled the room. She retaliated with a false police report, claiming I'd threatened her. Sheriff Conway, skeptical, reviewed my evidence and promised federal attention for the mail fraud. That night, my cabin was broken into. Footage showed Vivian downloading files from my laptop, including a fake settlement I'd planted, offering to sell for $60,000 with an NDA. The trap was set. I filed for a restraining order, granted instantly, barring Vivin and HOA security from my land. The security firm quit and 2 board members resigned. Rachel's latest article tied Vivin to county officials, exposing fast-track permits. Vivin offered me 25% above market value to sell. "Take it and find a better place," her lawyer urged. Lena warned that NDA silences you, leaving others exposed. I refused. Days before a lawsuit hearing, Vivian's team submitted my fake settlement to dismiss the case. I countered, proving it was fabricated with metadata and footage of her theft. The judge, Harold Vance, ordered a hearing, but showed bias tied to Vivian's campaign donations. My motion for his recusal faltered as he dismissed my evidence. In court, he cut off my lawyer, hinting at a staged break-in. Defeat loomed. During a recess, Ed handed me a USB drive. "Vivian bragging about bribing Vance," he whispered. "Recorded years ago at a board meeting." Fear had silenced him, but he was done hiding. At the next hearing, I announced we'd proceed, filing for Vance's recusal with the video. He stormed out, and Judge Laura Stern, known for integrity, took over. Ed testified, and the video played. Vivian boasting, "Vance's condo rides on our marina." An EPA agent detailed Vivian's wetland violations. Vivian's defense, claiming she was a scapegoat, crumbled under cross-examination. She admitted needing my lot, snapping, "The project dies without it." Stern ruled Vivian and the HOA liable for harassment, trespassing, mail fraud, and abusive process, awarding $60,000 in damages and legal fees. She banned HOA overreach on non-member lots, ordered an audit, and referred Vivian's crimes to the EPA and Ethics Board. Baxter resigned, Vivian's firm collapsed under fines, the marina died, and the HOA elected Ed as president, slashing fees and protecting wetlands. I used the damages to buy the lot Vivian coveted, now a community garden. At a lake party, Rachel, now award-winning, toasted our fight. Ed and I sat on my dock, fireflies glowing the lake one.